Yo, what's up guys? Rygo from Etiquette. So this week we're gonna do a video that's been on my mind forever, and that is the proper way to share flat water. And I would make the argument that we need a fresh set of rules of navigation when it comes to these trick areas. And my friend Leo, he put it best, and that is, it's not really about possession of these spots as it is more so thoughtful use of this rare resource that is the flat water. So I know some of you are going to agree, a lot of you are probably going to disagree, but the one thing that we can all agree on is these flat water spots, they should be used in a way that we can all enjoy them, everybody can get their turn to progress and try tricks, and ultimately it really comes down to the locals to decide the best use of their spot, and then anybody who's riding in that spot should make a point to reach out to people, talk to others on the beach, and just understand the natural flow of that area. So for this video, I do have to give a shout out to some friends in the Bay Area. I think that they have a really good system kind of figured out for how they share their different little slicks, and it kind of resonates with some of the things that I've seen in some of the more advanced spots around the world where people are sharing a small little lagoon, like in Brazil and things like that. There seems to be kind of a natural circuit that forms in a lot of these spots sometimes. So we're gonna reference that, and I think this should be a good guideline for the rest of us to figure out how to share these spots. Let's get to it. So before we break down the system for sharing these spots, there's a couple things that I want to address with just general etiquette. And first and foremost is short tacking. So what I will see a lot of times on the water is when two riders are approaching each other, one rider will stop, go the other way, and then proceed to ride directly downwind in the same direction as the upwind rider. And what happens when you do this is that rider now has no room downwind to try anything. They're completely blocked off from jumping or doing really much anything other than just riding. So the appropriate thing to do is keep going in the direction that you were going and clear the way so that that rider can jump. So another big mistake that I see is people just carelessly tacking back and forth right in the slick and not really sharing with anybody else. So if you're just cruising back and forth, there's no reason that you can't cruise in the whole wide open ocean. There's loads of space to get out there and practice and do things like that. And I guess the best analogy I can make for you is if you are just cruising in the flat water zone, it'd almost be the same as going out into the lineup in the surf and just hanging out right where the waves are peeling and cutting off all the surfers. And it's kind of just an inconsiderate thing to do when people are seeking out these prime conditions that only line up once in a while. And then last is, we all know the guy who kind of hogs the slick. It's the person who's just cutting everybody off, riding really aggressive, scaring everybody out, and that's not what it's about. You know, these spots should be for everybody from new riders to experienced and advanced riders, and we should all share and use it together. So that kind of leads to the next point of having a system that everybody can come to agreeance on in your local spot so that we can share the slick. Alright, so forgive the crudity of my drawing here. I'm not an artist, but what you'll see here is like a sandbar or a jetty or an island, whatever it is that's creating this flat water down here. And this is the no ride zone, kind of reserved for tricks. And this could be like 100 meters or 300 feet, and it's just a couple kite line lengths down so that riders actually have room to do their trick and land. So you'll see a queue forming on each side of the jetty. So there might be a few riders waiting here depending on how busy the spot is. And the rider will enter from one side, come across the slick, do their trick near the end, land in the landing zone, and then immediately get out of the flat water and come around to the other side to get back into the queue with the other riders who might be waiting. And there might not be a line, it might just be getting a flow going with like 2 or 3 riders, whatever it is. But this is a really good system because you can come in, do your trick, land, get out of the slick, come back around upwind, get back into the queue, come through, near the end of the other side, do your trick, land downwind, and get out of the flat water. So the first step is just acknowledging that the flat water is a trick zone and kind of a no-ride zone. Get in, do your trick, and then get out. So you shouldn't ride upwind into the flat water because you can't see what's behind you. and you might be blocking somebody off. So it's best to come in from the side, the upwind side of these areas. And with a rotation like this, what happens is everybody gets a chance to try their trick. The trick zone is clear of any other kiters or any other obstacles, and it's just that small little 100-meter area just downwind of the jetty, the sandbar, the island, whatever it is, where we're all giving everybody room to try. And as long as you observe the rotation, it's really not that hard of a system. And obviously every spot's going to be a little bit different, and maybe sometimes the view will be obstructed. Maybe it's a really small spot, and I've noticed like in some areas, like some really tiny lagoons in Brazil, what'll happen is you'll have like 10 people on each side kind of waiting. We all get into the line, one rider might nod at the next and let them go, and everybody just kind of comes through and gets their tack, and it can be a bit chaotic. And then even in some of the larger spots, like really large jetties or piers or things like that, sometimes there's almost a bit of chaos because it feels like there's free room everywhere, which if there's one or two riders, that's usually fine. But what happens is when you get a handful of people in there and they're all trying to use the slick, you have to get that rotation going. And I see it naturally form whenever I'm riding with more experienced riders. They tend to be more considerate of others. They're paying attention to what's going on around them. And if you're a newer rider, don't be afraid to get into the queue. Just respect the rules and make sure that you're not riding right back and forth in that flat water zone. That way everybody can enjoy it and not one person is hogging it. So I think if we could all agree to just follow the natural circuit, the natural flow of the area, be respectful, don't hog the flat water, don't be that guy that's just riding back and forth, or that guy who's doing tricks but not letting anybody else get in there. We really all should be allowed to enjoy the flat water. And ultimately what this comes down to is having a conversation with the locals. So if you're that new rider who shows up to a spot, just chat with some other kiters on the beach and just see how they're handling the flat water, who else is going to be riding. And if you don't see anybody on the beach and you show up and you kind of notice that there are people sharing it, just get into the natural flow, the natural order of things. And if it's chaos there, just make a point to have a conversation when you get done, when you get off the water. Talk to the other people there and talk about thoughtful use of the flat water and getting into a rotation and sharing it. And I think if we can get this conversation going on more beaches, we can all have a lot more fun and enjoy the flat water. So yeah, that's my 2 cents for this week. I didn't want to just come in and lay down a bunch of rules because it's not really my place to make the rules, but I do think it is on all of us to make our own rules for our local spots and then be respectful of each other. So yeah, if you guys have any insights into this, or you want to make a comment about how you share your spot, or you have any other ideas, drop a comment in the comment section. Let's get a conversation going here about the best way to share the flat water. If you guys found this video useful, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.